The Nutcracker is a beloved holiday classic. The performance of the ballet by the University of Wyoming has been a long-standing tradition. This year, the Department of Theater and Dance did something different. Instead of presenting a Nutcracker with a European flavor, they reinvented the ballet with a Western flair. The characters, the set, and the costumes would seem at home in Laramie, Wyoming during the 1890s. As Wyoming Signatures' Grossman explains, the home of the Laramie Plains Museum, the Ivinson Mansion, inspired this year's production.
Lower your arm, Jonathan. No, not that one, back.
Yeah, with a production of this size, boy, you couldn't even imagine how many people get involved in this thing. So when we start as designers, as you have your choreographer, you have your lighting designer, your set designer, your costume designer, your props artisans, your costume shop crew, your set shop crew. All of these people have to come together to make one work of art, and it's enjoyable. Is that when you can get a group of people together that's working towards this common goal, and everybody's having a good time, and they're feeding off of each other so that the energies are even that much more intense, it just turns into the most beautiful situation that you could possibly imagine. Nutcracker is produced every 4 years. Back when we started doing Nutcracker, we felt that in any dancer's career or any dancer's education while they were at the University of Wyoming, that they should be involved in at least one Nutcracker.
15 minutes to places, please.
Thank you, 15.
There's something very rich in this community that happens to a fair number of children who are involved in this production, and that 4 years ago some of them were soldiers and now they're angels, and next time they may be snowflakes. They're actually going through some paces like children in a professional school might. They're going through different roles as they grow up. I have some kids who are in their third role at Nutcracker, and it's wonderful to see that is an important kind of landmark for them every fourth year. I think people realize that we do not produce the same Nutcrackers. I always talk about upping the ante on certain scenes, like snow scene, making it more difficult, making it more challenging. So it's not the same thing every time. The most bold choice that we have had about this year and the direction that has driven this production has been the concept that was really born of Lee Hodgson's thinking of placing the production not in Germany or Russia or some kind of obscure European environment or setting, but placing it in Laramie, in the Ivinson home, in the year 1892.
We decided this about 3 years ago. At that time, it was important that we either rebuild the costumes for the party scene exactly as they were, because the old ones were starting to fall apart, or we come up with something new. And at that time, Marsha and I decided that it would be a fun approach if we made it more unique to Wyoming, more unique to Laramie. And that's when I suggested that we really did try to use the Ivinson Mansion as a backdrop for it.
Well, I think there's a lot of community pride with the mansion. I find it kind of marvelous and amazing every time I see it, that something like that was built. You see the Ivinson name all over town.
It is a historical site now. It is the home of the Laramie Plains Museum. It is strongly a good example of Victorian architecture and Victorian style. The Ivinsons had incredible taste. They imported many of the furnishings, the wallpapers, the woods from across the country as well as Europe. So it is very unique to the era as well as to the community.
The first time that Nutcracker was produced in Russia was in 1892, and it's either that the mansion was either completed or started in the same year, 1892.
I found it uncanny. I went, of course, how can I not know that Nutcracker was composed and produced first in 1892, which is exactly the year that we have set the ballet. I think that's magic right there. I like that. In Act 1, Clara's home is the foyer of the Ivinson mansion. The scenic designs are taken from the environment of the mansion as you see it today.
Marsha and Lee had sent me a bunch of photographic information about the mansion, and so taking a look at the various rooms as you want to find something that is, you know, interesting, that'll fit with the within the context of the ballet. And so in looking at the photographs, we thought that the stairwell was very dynamic and identifiable. And so that was actually a big portion of the choice there. The first thing that I do as a set designer is to do a pencil sketch or a charcoal sketch, something in black and white, so that I can communicate my ideas to the choreographer and the rest of the production team about, you know, which direction I think I'm going in. Once those sketches are approved and everybody's on the same page, then I move to the color rendering or color painter's elevation that's done to scale. For every 1/4 inch, that's equivalent to 1 foot in actual space. So a rendering that is about this big turns into a backdrop that's 26 feet tall and 56 feet wide. When I'm doing the little color rendering, I might be using a 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch paintbrush that then when I'm doing the backdrop turns into a 6-inch paintbrush. So you're doing the same brush strokes, but just with a larger brush.
Well, certainly we've changed all of the party scene. Party scene now has moved to your best clothes, your Sunday best. And so they are constructed of wools, they're cottons. They're not as glitzy as you might have seen back in 2002. They are more down to earth. They are clothes that are warm because we all know Laramie winters. And so they are comfortable clothes. They are still very elegant and still very beautiful, but they're very practical.
Have to depart in terms of lightness and the ability for fabric to flow and move, hemlines, etc., so that it's suitable for dancing. But the general silhouettes, the lines, for instance, the closings of the necks and neckties, and what kinds of overcoats were worn, etc. I think there's been great attention paid to that. Scene 2 is the battle scene, which is like Clara's dream. It has, again, components that are pulled from that area of the foyer, as if Clara's environment becomes twisted in a dreamlike kind of setting in her mind. And the third scene, the snow scene, is as if Clara is in the yard at the Ivinson mansion and the snowflakes are dancing outside of her home. So that has been the large conceptual undertaking of this production, is landing the piece in our hometown.